Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, presumably by a guy Lao Tzu. I always like to remind people that it's not Lao Tzu that we focus on, right? We don't focus on the fact that he was the one that wrote it. He happened to be the one that wrote it. Writing was new back then. We didn't even have really. We only had an alphabet and writing that was just budding. It was only probably a couple centuries old. But this conversation, what Tao is, and has always been, was being talked about and was being observed and was recognized probably for millennia. It's not something that someone invented, right? It's not an idea. It's not a diagnosis. It's not like so much of the stuff that we read today. We're saying, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that was coined by someone. And it's important. Like the person who's behind it is important. Who invented the vacuum and things like that, right? We think about things like that. But Lao Tzu, although yes, he wrote it down. And yes, the form of it, right? The 81 verses, all of that kind of stuff, that is all how he organized it. And maybe we are under the influence of that organization a bit, because 81, is that whole 9 times 9, right? Like that sort of thing. And was that what he was going for? Does that just happen to be the case? Well, who knows? And could there be 82? Could there be 50? So we have to look at it from this perspective of like, so what? Who cares that there's 81 verses? We can look at it like, let's take those 81 verses and make it one. Make it one idea. And really it is, there are a lot of places it's repeated, but it's repeated. There are ideas that are repeated in different ways. And so when we engage in the Tao Te Ching and just engage in the philosophical idea of what Tao is talking about, we have to think about, the non-dual nature of it. I'm not one to try and put Lao Tzu on some pedestal. I am not one to try and make Tao right. But when it comes to living reasonably, whether it is we are allowing others to be and express as they are going to be and express. But then also we are going to be and express as we are. I was sitting today and I was thinking about that aspect of Tao and that aspect of this is my scenario. This is my, and this, last week I may have talked about a friend of mine who was in grad school and, was having a hard time and went to the school to ask them to make it easier on her. And then I was just thinking about this kind of idea of, well, if you didn't care about what they thought. Now, this is tough, right? Because you're in school and you're supposed to get a certain kind of grade. But if you were in there and legitimately wanted to be there, because not everybody wants to be in school, but this is grad school, so, presumably you want to be there. And you want to gain something, is that which you want to gain a grade or an experience? Same thing, I think, with other institutions like marriage and your job, right? Are you engaged in this because you want to be here? You are legitimate. This is you being you completely. You're not under the influence of your surroundings. You're not under the influence of society. You're not under the influence of your partner if it's marriage, or you're not under the influence of the economic system if it's your job. This is where you want to be. You like that you're doing this. You know, it's funny when I do this show, I'm up. I mean, I get up around 4:00 in the morning anyway, so getting onto the show by 6 a.m. is not an issue for me in any way, shape, or form. But when I tell people, yeah, I do the show at 6. And there was a time I was getting compensated through Noom Vibe. It wasn't, it's not much, but it was compensation. And I told, I'm being compensated for this. It's like, you couldn't pay me this much to be able to get up at 6 a.m. to do a show. And I was just like, well, but I'm not altering my life in any way to be here. I mean, sure, I turn on my iPad and I talk into it, but this is where I want to be. I want to be talking about the Tao. And I love talking about Tao from these and sharing Tao. Like, this is where I want to be, right? I want to spend some time every day being in line with Tao. And I love that I do that. And I love that there is time. And I don't do it on the weekends, but that is, that's not necessary. Like, I would also like to do it on the weekends, but I don't engage in this on the weekends because I don't want to give it all up for Noom, who doesn't appreciate, right, like what I'm bringing to the table. And so I don't like that I do this on Noom. I'm even looking at other avenues to do my show, other outlets, because I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm not necessarily supported in certain ways, but I still love that I do this, and I want to continue doing. Even I'm going to be going on a retreat with the yoga studio, and I was like, I'll do Tao of the Day there, live in front of people, and that'll be something that I can, because I love doing it. It's just part of who I am. Now, there's going to be a day that I don't, and I'll stop doing it. And I love that too. I love that will be the case. And so I enjoy it while I'm doing it. And so when I think about my friend who's in grad school and is like, wants to change the environment so it can be easier for her, I'm like, well, why don't you just change what you do? I was talking to another friend of mine about this, and we were talking about this idea of, as an artist, and I don't know, and in the Tao it talks about the artist, the scientist, and the athlete, and how we engage the world. Like, the artist creates, but does so from intuition. The scientist observes, but it is done for the first time every time. You're not looking for shortcuts in your life. You're not looking to appease something. You're here, present, as you are. Wandering Fool, how are you today? How was your weekend?
It was good. I was actually off this weekend.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nose on the head with something you were just talking about, and I don't like how connected I am with people. It gives me that weird paranoia that somebody's listening to me, and then I'm like, girl, cut it out. But it's like, I have been told so many times, you need to go get a PhD. You need to go back to school. You're running from your true calling. And it creeps me out because I'm like, how do you know that's my true calling? Maybe I don't know my true calling. And you know how my brain works. I'm off on a tangent of, what if they know? What do they know? it's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's and this is this idea that when people say you're running from your true calling, what they're doing, and this is just marketing, really. I mean, even though they don't know that they're doing it, this is how we're designed in a consumer society, right? We're designed to market ourselves, market our ideas, and edge everything closer to being right. When I say you're running from your true calling, can anybody know their true calling? I
thought no, but
right.
I also thought that was just a side effect of me having a narrow worldview.
Well, I would, if I were to look at Tao, if I were to observe Tao and be like, what is your true calling? Your true calling is to be. And to allow other things to be as well. That is, and what the Tao says, it will arise in its own time, in its own nature, right? What it is will present itself in its own time and in its own nature. That's sort of a shortcut of what Tao says. I can look for certain texts, but when what Tao is always saying is leave it alone and it's going to be what it is. Right? And so when we look at ourselves, a lot of times is we can just say, well, if I was supposed to be, and this actually happened on this program one time, like someone asked me, well, then why don't you follow God or Jesus or whatever? And I was like, well, look, God is all powerful, right? Mm-hmm. And if he wanted me to follow him, what could I put in his way to stop that from happening?
Okay.
So my true calling and what God wants from me must be what is.
Why does that soothe my anxiety?
It must be, because God is all powerful, right? I mean, if we're going to go with that. And so the direction that I'm going, it may wind me back in school, but not yet. And so when someone says you're running from your true calling, because we can't know for a fact what our true calling is, because you could just say, actually, my true calling is serving others. And that's what I do. And even listening to you, I am serving you. Right? So you could refute that, but there's no point in it, because you don't know your true calling just as much as he doesn't know your true calling. God knows your true calling. And it might not express itself for another decade.
Funny enough, I think I'm okay with it taking its time.
Yeah.
Because I get this really bad anxiety, because I've been trying to work out them low-hanging ass fruits that cause the panic. And a lot of my panic is marketing.
And that is the purpose of marketing.
Really? Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, they want you to buy money. They want you to buy things with your money, right? But money, we've elevated money to this status in our society that is pretty ridiculous. But if I want you to separate from your money, and your money is what buys you food, water, and shelter, and I want you to purchase something outside of that, I need to make sure that you're anxious. You have to be anxious either in your, being accepted by your neighbors, not having enough, not being enough, not being able to support yourself, not being able to find love, not being able to, all these things. All that's marketing. And then so when someone says you're not following your true calling, what that's doing is that's marketing a certain idea of what I think you are to you, so that you you might be influenced by me to be what I think you should be. And now that may have a lot to do with me. That may have to do with who I am as well. But I'm trying to make my world make more sense. I'm trying to alter others in my world. That is not, as we talk about living reasonably. You know, I'm trying to manipulate you, and it's not violent, it's not harsh, it's not bad, but it is what we do. We say, "Oh, you know what you should do?" Shut the fuck up. What do you mean what I should do? You know what I should do? Yeah, the thing I'm doing. Just like someone said, you know, all of this revolves, everything that you're talking about revolves around things that I've read in the Bible, so you should just go be a Christian. And I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, you can say that, but one, I know that what you just said isn't true for me, so that's all I need. Like, why would I trust you over God within me?
And that's another source of anxiety. Trusting people outside of myself.
I say listen to people outside, like my friend in the grad program. Listen to all of these people, but pivot. Do what you do. And it's like she listens to them to a certain extent and then lets their voice become louder than her own.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? So their voice, they're saying, you know what, you failed at this. You didn't fail, but you got an in progress when you did this. And so I would like to see you try again. Well, and then she goes to try again. But what's important is that she succeeds in the old idea that she's now trying again. But what I think the grad program is trying to do is get her to rebel against them to some extent so that she can pivot and realize that she can't do it. See, one of the interesting things about being an artist, and this is about being a person, is you're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have enough time. You're never going to have enough support to do all of the things that you want to do. So, how do you take your biggest ideas and change them or think about them from a different perspective so that you can achieve the concept without necessarily achieving the grandest expression of that concept? Because you can have a message in a 6-story sculpture that can be carried by a drawing, possibly, and so in our lives, we can go and we can, like, remember, being is the point. So being present with your anxiety, questioning where that's coming from. Why do I feel anxious about this? Do I feel that they're right? When did I lose faith in myself? How do I continue living my life like in opposition to my own nature, to my own desires?
That's the part that bothers me most, because I notice the sensation I feel in my body when I feel like something is wrong internally with what someone says. I get that weird flame in my chest. It feels like certain areas of my body heat up really, really quickly. Like, embarrassment is my face. But when somebody is saying something that's completely contradictory to what I feel on the inside, my chest is on fire. Not rapid heart rate, but I feel the elevation in temperature. And I'm like, this is just anxiety. That's not real. And something in me is just like, no, you don't have to deal with that. And I get mad at myself because I stay entirely too long in places because I want to express the fact that I got grit. I'd have made it through everything. I can do this. When my chest is burning. And every time I get that chest burning feeling, it's like, hold on. it's time to go. Like, why do you want to fight so hard?
Right. And that's there's, why don't you pick a number?
What am I feeling today? Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. The wisdom of not having a preference. Okay, so if we're going to look at this from the aspect of preference, right? One, you prefer maybe to not have your chest burn, not have your chest heat up, or you prefer not to have that anxiety, or you prefer, focusing on the anxiety and the chest and all of that kind of stuff is focusing on the outcome of something, right? Those things existed because something happened. Those things existed because you have a belief that may be adverse to or opposite of the thing that someone mentioned. So there is a preference before you had the experience. There's something that is deep-seated within you. And what it says here is, Tao is infinite, it doesn't grow old or tired. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always persist. The master puts herself last and always finds herself first. By being detached from preference, she can give herself to what is and find fulfillment there. See, so these two different things in here. One, because she has no preference for itself, it can always persist, and it doesn't grow old or tired because of that, right? So every time you feel that anxiety, you're artificially aging yourself because you're utilizing more energy to feel this anxiety than is necessary for the moment. Does that make sense?
No, but I'm listening.
Okay. So in this moment, if I said, you're wasting your life, and, like, let's say I'm a customer with you and I'm just saying, you're wasting your life, you should be something else. That could cause you that anxiety, let's say, that you're making a mistake with your life. If you didn't have any thought whatsoever that you're wrong, right? Like that your choices are wrong for yourself. If you had no thought about that at all, if you had proof that this is exactly where you need to be, and this person that you're talking to is the one that's lost. If you knew that deep inside, you wouldn't be anxious. And you would expend less energy in that moment. Because they would say, you're making a mistake, and you just laugh and bring him his, his cream pie. Be like, oh, you silly lost little soul. Here you go. Here's your coconut cream pie. Have a wonderful night. And that's all you would do. It wouldn't take, and you're going to drop in a minute, and you can either listen or come back either way. Love to keep talking about this a little bit. So when you engage that anxiety, you're using more energy. So what it says here is, Tao is infinite, it doesn't grow old or tired. Because it has no preference for itself, it can always persist. If you had no preference for yourself, if you didn't have a preference of whether you were, a doctorate, or if you are serving people, if you have no preference, then you're just here doing what you do, no preference, no doubt that this is exactly where you have to be, because this is exactly where you find yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to change and grow. It doesn't mean that you have to plant your flag at the Waffle House. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that. But you are here doing this right now. Nobody knows you better than you do. And so you must be the expert at yourself, not anyone else. And if you were to not care about other people that tried to be the expert in you, you'd have no anxiety. You'd just deliver the cream pie and then walk away, and you can chuckle about it. And you can be like, yeah, you might be right, knowing that they're not. And you can just live your life without the added anxiety. And you would be less tired because the anxiety causes you to use more energy. Does that make sense?
That does. Because in those scenarios, when it's customers, I giggle. But when it's somebody that has been watching me or mentoring me for years, I don't know why it holds so much weight. But
so you give them more importance.
Right. And I'm trying to
that's your fault.
Yeah, but unworking that.
Yeah, no, I get it. But we, that still tends to be us not having faith in ourselves.
Well, Martin, I think we've had this combo before. I lack faith in a lot of things.
Well, yeah, and this is where this next half of this, the master puts herself last and always finds herself first. Now, being humble to those around you. Now, I've talked about humility on this show before, and the idea of there's a big difference between being self-effacing and being humble. All right, so when you're truly humble, you're fucking badass. You're amazing. But you don't necessarily have to display that because it comes out in all that you do. Now, sometimes people don't know that they're amazing and they have to pronounce it all the time. They always have to be out there going, you know how amazing I am, and look at what I did, and look at what I'm doing, and what are you doing? And I'm going to compare what you're doing to what I'm doing and make sure that you are in the same race that I am. Because if you are in the same race that I am, this is where the Tao says other people convince you to join them in struggle. Right? Because if you're not joining them in struggle, their struggle is like, you think their struggle might be stupid. And they can't have their struggle be stupid. They can't have other people, because you must want what I want, right? You must want more money. You must want more praise. You must want more attention.
Hold on, Martin. Hold on right there for a second. Because I got to process something, and I might have to process it out loud.
Yeah.
For the majority of my adulthood and parts of my childhood, I believed that I was a monster because I couldn't adhere to these things. Like something was really, really off. Like I was a total and complete psychopath because I couldn't get the idea, like social laws and social contracts. And people have told me my entire life that I was amazing, but all I saw was a monster because I couldn't figure out the difference between the accolades and what it actually meant to be. So in my natural being state, I felt like something was wrong.
With you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's insane.
Well, so this is the low-hanging fruit, right? This idea that, like, okay, well, there is a deep understanding that there's something wrong with you, and so you look to others to find out how to be. So if you don't have faith in yourself, if you believe you're a monster, you look to others to figure out how to pretend to not be a monster.
Bingo.
Right? But the thing is that I mean, I don't know how you define being a monster, but being a monster is part of your being. You know, you're the one that defined it as being a monster.
Right.
That's not true, right? You're just being. But all of the qualities of monster, what are the qualities of monster?
Cold, uncaring, unenthused, apathetic, resourceful, talented, but very off in the context of social laws, never quite understanding what's going on, and always confused.
Mm-hmm. And so you have these definitions that you put on yourself, and my guess is, if we were to look at instances in which you had anxiety, we would find those definitions in there, in those actions. So one, you know, I don't like to call these. There are a lot of different ways to look at these, right? One, self-fulfilling prophecy. Another thing is just perception. You are looking for because you define yourself as a monster. And that is the way you define a monster. You are looking for those truths, quote unquote, right? But when you established the frame of reference that you are a monster, that's probably the thing. You know, I would say, well, what happened in the second grade that confused you the most?
I don't remember the second grade.
Well, what's your earliest memory of being confused?
When I fell down the steps during a bonfire.
Why were there steps by a bonfire? I don't understand.
Listen, that's the earliest memory.
Well, where was this? What was going on?
It was at a family home. I think it was my grandparents' home. Mm-hmm. And they had raked the yard, and we burned pine straw here. So they raked up all the pine straw, and they burn it so it doesn't, they just get rid of it. And I just remember falling and having this huge knot on my head. My hands are scraped up. And it's just like I was so confused.
As to how you fell?
No, just I woke up confused.
Okay. So you may have experienced a concussion. And how old were you?
About 5 or 6.
Okay, so that's even before second grade. So one of the interesting things that I would point to is that this was an intense experience. It might have been, and it may be your earliest memory, and being an intense experience in which you may have experienced a concussion, you may have built a frame of reference around being concussed. So now life, right, because you were fine and then you were confused, you may have created in your mind a fear of, yes, I'm smart now, but at any moment that can be taken from me.
There it is.
So so your frustration when people say you are not living up to your thing, you may believe that that's true. And that brings up this fear of, but if I were to try to be something more, and then in a snap, lose my ability to think, that would be devastating. So I might as well not put myself in a position to have that happen.
You want to know something crazy?
I mean, I know a lot of crazy things, but I'll take more.
I'm talking about crazy in context.
Yeah, what's
My
up?
very first tattoo was the chemical formula for acetylcholine. It's the medication that they give people for Alzheimer's. It runs in my family, and I've watched the cognitive decline and like from being that small of a kid, just watching the decline.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother always told me never put anybody's name on you. So I got acetylcholine, memory. So that's
See,
crazy.
and that's so you from this conversation, you may frame the world from this place of fear of losing your facilities. And if that is the case, your anxiety when people mention that you can do more may very well be striking a chord with this frame of reference you have about losing your ability to think clearly after being concussed at 5 years old. And so your whole life may be just trying to protect yourself from being in a situation in which you lose your mind. But you're here, and if people say that you're wasting your life, there may be something that, or your time here, there may be something that you believe is true about that, and that may be deep down in your psyche, And that's the thing; you do have a preference. And what this number 7 is saying is there's a wisdom to not having a preference. You have a preference of not risking too much. But if you didn't, you may risk a whole lot more, but that risk will increase because the more you take on, the more risk you run. But that's what your life is. Life is risk. It is a rolling of the dice. It is all of these things.
I was just going through, I wrote a book. And then after I wrote the book, I started thinking about, because I like to do what I call technical writing, more so than fictional writing. Mm-hmm. I can write manuals. I wrote SOPs for a company. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about writing an SOP for something that was really esoteric. And I was like, girl, they're going to think you fucking crazy. Reel it in. And I was like, what's wrong with being crazy?
Right. And so here are these two things. One, you lost your mind. Your ability to think at 5, and then you watched other people slowly lose it. And so that confusion, right? That's the monster. The monster was what happened after you fell. And then you watched people around you and related all that together, even though they have nothing to do with one another. It sounds like these are some things that you might have done and you might be able to look at to start to uncover the lies that your life is living around, is being lived around. What's that?
That's crazy because I have 4 or 5 instances of falling downstairs. Now, one time my cousin pushed me, but the other times I just fell.
Well, the stairs. There's lots of ways to look at all of that, but remove the action and show the experience. The experience is the monster. The experience is the confusion. The experience is the observation of the other people. The experience is all of these things. It's not necessarily stairs. It could be. That could be symbolic. It could be the way that you relate. But it's really about the experience that you're having with all of those things. So, yeah, you just dropped off. Thank you so much. I got Melissa and Julie in. I believe Julie was first, and then we'll get to Melissa if you can hang out.
Hello.
Hey, Julie. How are you, dear?
I'm all right. I was thinking about in my book box that I've managed to be able to get hold of and unpack. And in my book box, there is this book. In fact, there's two of them, because I'm very lucky like that, called Tao Te Ching. And it's a translation done by this gentleman called Martin John Garcia. And, you know, every time I open that box and see that book, it's encouraging for me. Now, I like something you were talking to WanderingFool about, and that is the need to prove. Where does that come from? And it kind of comes from feeling that you have a need to do so. And that humility that you were talking about, that kind of humbleness, it is often received really well by everyone, you know, you're going to encounter in your experiences. Humbleness allows others to be, you know, that way themselves as well. It's a peaceful state, I think, you know, and I really enjoy it. So I was listening to you and WanderingFool and really enjoying your conversation. There's so much in there for me. I love listening to WanderingFool anyway, because she sparked my curiosity in myself, not necessarily in what's going on in her world, but there's little gems that come out that get me thinking. And so that's really what I want to say, is that humbleness, because I find that I receive so much more from people when they have that sort of sense about them, that feeling about them. I receive so much more because I feel kind of bombarded sometimes with this essence of needing to prove. That kind of, you know, that gets me thinking a bit. So I need to be able to find behind it. And I was talking to Darryl yesterday, and he was talking about rareness and masks. And I always think that this need to prove is like, I need to remove that, if you like, to see what's, you know, who I'm interacting with or what I'm interacting with underneath it all. So that humbleness kind of makes me feel that, you know, when someone is that way, they're very comfortable with who they are and, you know, how they are. And that puts me immediately at peace. And when I'm in that peaceful place, I can receive more. Because I tend to put a boundary up. If people are proving, that makes me go, ah. And it's weird, but it was just such a good conversation and a good perspective to listen to from you both, really. So thank you so much, both of you, for that. Today, I haven't got my book with me. It's sitting on the side in a different space. I'm in my bedroom putting cream on my very flaky legs. I just thought I'd share that with you. A bit of normality. Yeah, I've my skin's got really dry, so I've been putting some creams and things on to give them a little bit of a pampering as I was listening to you. So today, I'd love to pick a number, if that's all right.
Oh, absolutely.
Should we go for number 10 today? I don't know why. It's just come in my head.
Sure, number 10. Number 10 is can you? This is just full of questions. And I think when we're talking about humility, like asking questions keeps us humble. You know, and what it says here, can you control your mind so it doesn't wander? Can you control your body so it doesn't wander? Can you endorse all that you do? Can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Can you do all this without interfering and remain unknown? Can you leave behind knowing and open yourself to understanding? Can you be like Tao and give birth without possessing? Can you be like Tao and act without expecting? Can you be like Tao and lead without dominating? If so, it would be considered great. Just asking all these questions. And I know a lot of people want to, when they get asked a question that is deep like this, they're like, oh, well, yes, I can. It's like, whoa.
Hang on a minute.
It's not necessarily about answering the question. It's like, and it says, can you? And we all can, under the right circumstances, do this thing, right? We can endorse all that we do. Maybe we don't at the moment, but we can. So it's important to, like, can you, when we look at the question, can you endorse all that you do? When I talk about my friend that's in grad school, and I say, like, can you endorse asking your advisor to stop grading you in a certain way? Can you endorse that you've done that? And I wonder if she can. I don't know. Maybe she can.
Can I ask you a question very quickly?
Yeah.
What is, I know this is going to sound a bit nuts, but endorse. Can you give that a little bit of a endorsing thing?
So when I endorse something, that means that so if I were to, as a celebrity, I'm not a celebrity, but celebrities endorse. We're all famous to a few people, but we can, if we can, when I see athletes endorse McDonald's,
right? Okay, yeah.
I'm like, they're not really endorsing McDonald's. They're endorsing a check. When you endorse a check, you sign it. You can put your name on that. So when it says, can you endorse all that you do? Can you, are you proud of what you're doing? Not in this, 7 deadly sin pride thing. But it's like, right now in the United States, there are all these politicians who, I don't know if they can endorse anything that they're doing. Because they're turning their backs on 200 years of the rule of law. They're turning their backs on people. They're turning their backs. I don't know if people who make that sort of, you as someone who's experienced houselessness, like when they put spikes underneath bridges and stuff to keep people from sleeping there.
Yeah.
There are now benches that you can't sit on, but they're leaning benches at bus stops so that you can stop people from sitting. Like I don't know the people that make those decisions can really endorse that. I think they're proud of themselves for the fact that they're hurting somebody, that they're, that they've hurt someone that has been,
aren't they? They're locking out a particular way of being. They're kind of gatekeeping, if you like.
And so when I talk about, can you endorse this? Can you look inside yourself and be like, yes, like this is for the betterment of all people, right? This is, I can endorse this. I can endorse, like for me, like if I walk down the street and someone asks me for money and I am not going to give them money, I can endorse that. And I can look them in the eye. I can say no. I can wish them luck, and I can tell them I love them.
Yeah.
And then I can do all of those things, or whatever comes to mind, whatever my voice wants to state. But I don't have to do it in any certain way, and I can still endorse that. I can endorse not doing that. And if I do give them money, I can endorse that as well.
Yeah.
So when we talk about endorsing, it's about like really being able to like appreciate, stand by that thing that you do, right? Like I can stand by my show here, right? I can utilize my show and I can say, okay, I stand by this. And I endorse it. It doesn't have to be endorsed by Noom Vibe in order for it to be valuable to me. Like, I know I'm valuable. I know I'm the one that's producing this, and that it is valuable because I am inspired to do it, and so I endorse it. You know,
it's kind of endorsed by a lot of other people too, Martin John, because it just is. Believe me,
absolutely, and people are supporting me on this show, and I absolutely agree with that. But so that is, can you endorse all that you do? And there are things in my life that I cannot endorse, that I still engage in. However, like it's iteration. I want to move to a place where I can endorse all that I do.
Yeah.
And it says, can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Not to manipulate them. Can you love everyone so as to inspire them?
Yeah. I like the bit where it says, you know, can you, and then not look for the reward, not with intent.
Can you do all this without interfering and remain unknown?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Can you do this without needing to know that they're going to think about you later?
Yeah. See, I struggle with that, I'm going to say. So we're not by any means fully grown, are we, in this experience? But just
that's why we're in this experience.
Yeah.
If you were fully grown, you'd die because you'd be done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love the idea of asking that question, not so that you answer it, but just so that that's within your thoughts, maybe within your kind of spirit to not answer, but consider every moment, really. And that's the beauty of it. You might not be able to endorse these things. You might not be able to be humble in every situation, but if you can ask yourself, you're on a track to a certain kind of space where you become, you're no longer in search of, if you like, but you're still able to receive.
Well, and I think this really comes down to, it comes down, like, and I'm looking at all these and I'm saying, does this kind of come down to asking the question, do I like that I'm doing this? Right. Yeah. So like, especially in these like endorse and do without interfering, and remain unknown. Do I like that I'm thinking, I want them to think about me and I want them to hire me, or I want them to do this, and I want to make sure that I'm holding some things back so that I can get paid. And like, am I happy with me doing that? I don't want to do that. And so I don't like that I do that. But then maybe I don't like that, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted because I've given so much. And gotten very little out of it, maybe, and so, I don't like that. And then we iterate again. And then we continue to move on to have a more balanced life. How can I do this in ways that resonate with me? How can I do this in ways in a way that is that I can endorse? How can I do this in a way that I'm not interfering?
Can you read it through again for me, Martin John, and then I will zip off. But thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, me too. Can you control your mind so it doesn't wander? Can you control your body so it doesn't wander? Can you endorse all that you do? Can you love everyone so as to inspire them? Can you do all this without interfering and remain unknown? Can you leave behind knowing and open yourself to understanding? Can you be like Tao and give birth without possessing? Can you be like Tao and act without expecting? Can you be like Tao and lead without dominating? If so, it would be considered great. Melissa, how are you?
I'm well, Martin John. How are you?
I'm very well. How was your weekend?
Well, it was pretty good until I broke out in hives. That part was not so enjoyable. So,
was that an allergic reaction?
Yeah, I had some dental work done on Thursday, and
I had dental work done on Wednesday.
Look at us! Well,
last week Wednesday.
Did they give you amoxicillin? Because that is what I think made me break out. Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Are you allergic to amoxicillin?
Well, I didn't think that I was, but what's interesting is that my daughter is. And I remember when she was like maybe a year old that they had given her, she had like an ear infection, something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But they gave her amoxicillin and she broke out like, hives. And I didn't know at the time that, they were hives. I just know that, she had this rash all over, and I took her back to the doctor and they're like, oh yeah, no, she can't have, amoxicillin. And so I don't remember, like, I thought I had taken amoxicillin before and I was okay with it, but I just
things change.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies definitely change, but yeah, so I woke up, on Saturday. That's when they appeared, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And then like it was even worse yesterday. So I put 2 and 2 together and I'm like, I'm not taking any more of that medicine. So I called the dentist office and I left her a message and I'm like, look, if you want me to take antibiotics, you might want to call in a different one because I'm not going to take this anymore. And like I explained that I had broken out in hives and everything, but oh my goodness, the itching has just been driving me like a little batty. I'm not all the way batty, but taking allergy medicine, cortisone, trying not to scratch, just a little bit of frustration. But
that's going to take just a little focus there.
Yeah.
Where are you for the school year?
2 weeks from today, my brother.
Are we counting down? Or are we?
Well, I'm trying to be thankful for the summer that I had, and I'm looking at, the 2 weeks that I have left, and there's a lot to do in these last 2 weeks. In fact, I only have one day. I think, actually, I was going to say I have one day where I don't have anything going on, but then I just thought I do have something going on that day. So I have something going on every day for the next 2 weeks, but that's good. It'll help me to get back into the swing of things. And, I just have to, what's the good without, how does that thing, if there's one that's, what is the good without the something of the bad? So, you just got to take the good and take the bad and take them both. And there you have, I can't have summer forever. Life just doesn't work that way.
And you wouldn't want it, really.
No, because then it would get old.
It would get old real fast. And that's not.
And I am excited. I think that about going and meeting the new kiddos and a new.
And these are going to be brand new kiddos.
Brand new kiddos, brand new school, brand new everything.
All these kiddos have grown up in an environment that was different when relatively close, but in a different place. And so that they're going to have different experiences and you're going to have a different job.
Yes.
This is going to be good.
A fresh start, so to speak.
And if from what I recall, you have more control over them for the year. Like in terms of how they experience their this year.
Yeah, it'll be my classroom, and as opposed to me being in someone else's classroom, so I can kind of set the parameters to some degree, And I think that with the journey that I've been on and the new mindset that I've developed, I think it's going to be a wonderful year, and I am very much looking forward to it. I would not be honest if I didn't tell you there's a little anxiety there too, but I'm just like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
That's all right. And if that anxiety wasn't there, you'd be, you wouldn't put the attention that it deserves on it. Like, you want to do a good job, and so you want to focus, and that anxiety is part of that. It's okay. Let's get a number.
25.
25. Almost. I call it Tao. So let's look at this from that perspective. Like, I call it Tao. Before the manifestation of heaven, there is void. It is still and has no form. Inexhaustible, it reaches everywhere. It is at the core of everything. Since names have become important, it has been called Tao. It flows amongst manifestation without resistance, inside, outside, conscious, and subconscious. Tao is great. Universes are great. Planets are great. Beings are great. These four are all great and follow the law of their principle. All beings follow their planet. All planets follow their universe. All universes follow Tao. Tao follows only its nature. What's interesting about this and talking about you starting in the new school and all that is just like these four great things, right? Tao, universe, planets, beings. They're all connected. Right? They're all connected to Tao because Tao flows amongst all of it. And so the being are filled with Tao. The planet is filled with Tao. The universe is filled with Tao, and Tao is only itself. And when I read this last section, it says, these four are all great and follow the law of their principle. And what's interesting about that, it's interesting. One, the principle aspect, and we're talking about school, right? You're in a new job and you're going to have a new principal. But principle as the other aspect, as the other definition, like that's what you follow the law of your principle. You follow the law of, like the beings follow the law of their planet. They can't follow the law of the universe because they're not connected to the universe except through the planet. So they have to follow the law of the planet. Just like a child needs to follow the law of their home and then in their classroom. And you are going to be able to be in touch with Tao within you so that you can inspire those children to be in touch with themselves. And that comes because you follow the law of your principle being the planet. I mean, in one aspect, and that's what's guided you to yourself, right? Like recognizing where you lie to yourself, recognizing where you judge yourself, and then looking at that, adjusting that, and then inspiring those around you, inspiring your mom, inspiring your siblings, inspiring your daughter. And that's going to continue to spread. And I'm grateful for that.
Is that what it's talking about when it says it flows among the manifestation without resistance? Is that having that effect? Yeah. Right.
So before the manifestation of heaven, there is void. So heaven was part of manifestation, and it was created. And that void is still and has no form. It penetrates everything because nothing was defined. Everything is still nothing. I mean, even if the universe existed, This is like, if there's a tree in the forest, then, it falls, does it make a noise kind of thing, right? Inexhaustible.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Inexhaustible. It reaches everywhere. It is at the core of everything. It is at the core of everything. It's at the core of the planet. It's at the core of the universe. It's at the core of Melissa. And it's at the core of the 25 or 32 students that you're going to have in your class. And then it has this flippant line where it's like, since names became important, it has been called Tao. That is not important, what it is called. But the fact that we all share, and it is at the core of all of us. And then it says, it flows among manifestation without resistance, inside, outside, conscious and subconscious. No matter where you look, you're seeing it. You're seeing it outside of yourself. You're seeing it inside of yourself. That's why, that's why we look, when we were talking to Wandering Fool, if you've heard that, we looked at her experience of something, and she's looking outside of herself. And she's like, yes, it's there, but look at how you're experiencing it. Because that is, it's not just in manifestation. It is within your experience of the manifestation. Whether it is conscious, subconscious, doesn't matter either. And it's all connected. So yeah, we have these divisions, Tao, universe, planets, beings, but there is no division.
Because it's all part of the void. And it was just, like, it made me think when you were just talking about, that line, a rose by any other name, it's still the same. I mean, you can call it what you want to call it, but it doesn't, like the whole thing with Miss B or Melissa or Miss Brent, it doesn't matter. I'm still me. Like, the name doesn't matter, and what I'm called doesn't change the essence of who I am. So.
And your name, the me, when you can surrender to it, is God.
Yeah.
When you can not necessarily, you can utilize Miss B, and you can utilize the fact that everyone's got trauma against Miss Brent or whatever.
I know.
You can utilize that trauma to good effect, because now you have a color pattern, and now you have ways to engage. And that might be that's a beautiful way, without you having to identify with it. It's just something that you picked up as a way to do this. And then everybody else, they're all connected to Tao, which gave you this opportunity.
Do you know what's funny in all of that? I'm actually allergic to bees, Martin John.
And just like bees, you have hives.
Right? Oh my God. That's even funnier. Oh my goodness. I didn't even think of that. That was on point, man.
So Tao is in everything, even your hives.
I wish they would go away. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I know they will eventually. I'm sorry. I'll quit whining about the hives. But.
No, it's okay.
That was damn funny, Martin John.
Yeah. So be careful about how much energy you give the bee.
Oh my goodness. One flew in my car yesterday morning. I was getting in my car to go to church, and a daggone bee flew in the or anything yet. So I'm trying to start it and roll down the window without being in the car. Oh, yeah. And thankfully it flew back out, because I'm like, nope, I don't want to start my day having hives and getting stung by a bee. Maybe it thought, it sensed the hives in me and was coming home. Like, no.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. All right. I will let you go. You have a wonderful day, my dear. I appreciate you. And don't get hives.
No, we'll not. We'll not. Well, I'll see what I can do about that, but thank you. All right, we're going to get Leslie. Hey, Leslie. How's it going? Leslie?
Hey.
Sometimes. Oh, you got me?
Yeah, I didn't
Oh,
realize.
here you are.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Today is our first day of school.
Oh, off
Yeah,
you go.
so off we go. So maybe off to senior year. So that's what we're doing.
It's senior year?
Oh yeah.
And is that your youngest?
It is. Yep.
Oh, senior year.
Yeah. And it was sad. I said, okay, let me take a picture of their first day of your last senior year. He's like, please don't, and walked out the door. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Guess I'm not getting that, but that's okay.
Good for him.
Exactly.
Good.
He hates having this
Good
picture.
for him. Yeah. And I don't know. Like, have you always took pictures of yours? So do you have like the running?
We try, but we've tried over the years, and generally we did pretty good. But like, I'm not one to go post a bunch of stuff, so and they know that. But they were just like,
but it's for you.
No.
Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, pictures. It's interesting. Like, there was a time when pictures were really to remember things.
Absolutely.
I don't know that pictures are about that anymore. I think people do run across old pictures, online, like when Facebook wants to remind you of what you were doing 10 years ago and stuff like that. But I don't think that pictures have the same, I don't think they have the same weight that they used to have. I mean, one physically, they don't have the same weight that they used to.
Right. Digital, yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, people, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my grandma and mom would take time to look through photo albums. Like, that was a thing they did. I mean, I never did anything like that. But I remember they would say, "Oh yeah, I remember." And then it was really interesting. And I don't know, like now, like even when you said like taking a picture, I didn't even think about posting it, but you were like, "Oh, I don't post much." And it's just like, "Oh yeah, but that's not what the picture's for, right? It's to remember this." Right. I would think. Yeah.
Well,
so get that picture if you can get it.
Yeah, I'll sneak it in when he gets home.
Yeah, there you go. If you can catch him with a snack or something.
That's right, when he's not looking.
Sitting in one place.
Yeah. Well, anyway, my number today is 35.
35.
35.
Let's go check out what 35 is. Thanks for joining me. It's always nice to chat.
Yeah.
So 35, the senses distract. Those who know Tao cannot be harmed. They removed resistance, and peace remains, even amid great pain and danger. Exciting the senses will distract people, while they see Tao as a silly waste of time. If you look for it, you will see nothing. If you listen for it, you will hear nothing. If you use it, it will support you forever. Mm-hmm. What stood out to you there?
Well, they removed resistance and peace remains, even amid great pain and danger. And in my review of it is that great pain and danger is life, right? We can't control what life brings you, so it could consist of great pain and danger. And when you're not resistant to that, you're okay with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then exciting the senses will distract people while they see Tao as a silly waste of time. That was me for the last probably 30 years. Being distracted by everything to avoid feeling anything. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, and that's and of course you're feeling things, but what you're feeling is resistance.
Right.
You're resistant to feeling, you're resistant to truth, or you're resistant to what you are, who you are. You know, and I love that those, you know, they removed resistance and peace remained even amid great pain and danger. The thing is, well, how can you be at peace? You know, like some people that do not know Tao would say, well, how can you be at peace amid great pain and danger? And that's the thing. It's like, well, I don't know where this comment, you know, well, life is not without its problems. This is a verse from the Tao. Life is not without its problems, so problems turn out to be no problem at all.
Right.
Like you said, life is not without pain.
Okay.
And if I remove resistance, so like when when our parents die, or if our children die, that's great pain. Mm-hmm. It's great pain. And but if you remove resistance of feeling that pain, you can feel that pain in a state of peace. You can be at peace while in pain. It can be like, you can be like, my mom died, and that hurts, and it's okay. And I can allow that hurt to flow through me without having to push it away or resist it or invest in it. I don't have to be like, oh, I need to feel this and I'm going to wallow in it.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's resisting healing.
Right.
You're feeling this in order to heal this pain.
Yep. Yeah.
And even, go on?
No, keep going.
And even the danger part is like the idea that things can change. You know, we can have an experience where we can see others in our lives. You know, we can see this when we change, when we start to engage in some of these non-dual Taoist sort of ideas. Other people around us they can freak them out, and they could feel like they're in danger, and they can start to do things differently so that you can feel like you're in danger too. You know, sometimes people will attack you and tell you that, even like I was talking to WanderingFool earlier, and she was saying that other people tell her that she's making bad choices in her life. And it's like, you know, like that can create a dangerous surrounding. Mm-hmm. But when you know that this is your life and you can pivot to protect yourself, or you can pivot, you will be inspired to pivot, even if that will cause great pain or will put you in a position in which you're not comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that can still be a peaceful space because you're not beholden to anybody. This is your life. How are you going to live it? And when you can understand that, not resist being you, then you can be at peace.
I also think that, you know, like as she was saying, people are telling me what I should be doing. Well, I think being comfortable enough to step outside and look objectively at what they're saying and say,
right.
Is there something to that? And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Right.
Right.
But to not feel immediately like judged or pushed into, oh, well, I guess I should go back to grad school or whatever. I mean,
right.
I'll never go back to school. Never again. I'm done. but,
well, and that's exciting the senses, right? So like when that comes in and I'm triggered, I can be a victim, right? I can engage that feeling. I can engage that anger. I can engage that victimization. And I'll be distracted. And I'll be distracted because they're wrong. They must be wrong because I'm doing this. But then as we discovered, as we spoke, it was like, well, maybe you're afraid to try because you had an experience, and that resistance that you created as a 5-year-old when you fell down the stairs was what created this resistance. And that excites your senses. And then when you're told you're wasting your time in one way or another, you're wasting your life in one way or another, or whatever, and you subconsciously know that you've built your life in order to protect yourself from this inevitability that you see in the world, that you're going to not be able to think clearly, that you're going to be confused, that you're going to go through Alzheimer's, right? Like she expressed that. And so now her senses are excited and she shuts herself down. And then that is how one can, live their life. And that's all a distraction. What's that?
I can relate to that sentiment exactly, though. I mean, my mom had dementia, and so it's always the question of, well, is it going to be me? Right. Which one of my 5 siblings or me, or 4 siblings or me, are going to be the one who carry that gene? And it is scary, and you just have to, whatever it is it's going to be, right? It's not like I can do certain things to maybe, change my diet or do whatever, and maybe that will help. But I mean, if it's coming, it's coming. Am I right?
If it's coming, it's coming. And that's, I talk about that kind of thing a lot, that idea that if it's yours, it's yours. And there isn't going to be a way to avoid what's coming. But you have to be open, and that's what we're talking about here. They removed resistance, and peace remains, even amid great pain and danger. Mm-hmm. If Alzheimer's signifies pain and or danger, like that's right here. I mean, it definitely signifies something. Yeah. And like it says here, and just as what you were saying, if you look for it, you will see nothing. If you're looking to change your diet and stuff like that, it's like maybe, but you're not going to see anything. If you listen for it, you will hear nothing. If you do all these things to try and hedge your bets, you can, but you might not see. And I do this with myself all the time with my MS. I change my diet. I do all this. Is it working? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe this is the way it was going to be if I continued eating garbage and didn't take supplements and didn't do tinctures and didn't meditate and maybe this is how it was going to be anyway. So when it says if you look for it, you'll see nothing. If you listen for it, you'll hear nothing. But if you use it, it will support you forever. So I use it and it's supporting me forever. Is it working? I don't know. Is it good? I don't know. But this is what I'm doing. And if I end up bedridden, is it going to be a waste? No.
Right, because you're living your life the best way you know how. Yep.
Right, and I love my life, and that is the thing that, and if I were to be living my life and going, I hate my diet, I hate this, I hate that, like that wouldn't be very helpful either, right?
No.
I love the things I do. Yes, I can't go out and eat a Charleston chew whenever I want, but I really don't want to be doing that anyway.
Right.
And I know.
I sort of an aside, I don't think I've ever had a Charleston chew in my life. And I saw one on the shelf the other day. I was like, I wonder if they're any good. I didn't get it. They weren't the strawberry ones. They weren't.
Okay. I wouldn't recommend it. They're good. I like them, but it's I wouldn't recommend it because I wouldn't want you to come back. I don't like that because then I'd feel like, but I do. To each their own.
To each their own. Well, my other thought of this weekend was you had talked about in some talk a long time ago, the idea of arrested development. Like, when did you stop progressing and growing? And
Right.
and I'm about to run out, so I'm not going to expound on that at all, but maybe next time.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, can you pinpoint that? Can you actually pinpoint that time? And if you can, maybe I have, and maybe that will help me. So
Yeah.
anyway, have a great day.
You too. Thank you for
All right.
joining me. Love you. It's really great to connect. Arrested development is a really great topic. Sometimes we do it out of necessity. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes we do it because we are under the influence of other things, and we stay under the influence of those things longer than is helpful. Sometimes we get under the influence of things as a protective measure, but then we stay under it just because it's comfortable. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Oh my God, Wandering Fool, Julie, Melissa, Leslie. And Leslie, I know you don't come up much, but it's always such a pleasure to chat with you. So thank you for coming up. I love you guys, and I love talking about the Tao. I want to invite you to support this show. You can check out my profile, and through my profile, you can find my Linktree and my website. Now, I accept support through Buy Me a Coffee and Venmo. You can find both of those links on my Linktree. So if you are so inclined to support me and Tao of the Day, please make your way over there and support me in any way you feel fit. I am going to be back tomorrow, 6 a.m. Central Time. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.